to know the artist behind the epic melodies, songs, and beats. Celebrating the best new music from around the world. This is the A State of Trance podcast.
Hey, what's up? My name is Ruben Ronde and here for the State of Trance podcast in the studio today with Lufthaus, Tim and Flynn. How are you doing?
Great to be here.
Yeah,
thank you for having us.
So we're going to dive a little bit deeper into the history of both of you guys. And of course, we're going to talk about Lufthaus. I have a couple of questions from the listeners as well. But first, the question that I always start with in the beginning. Let's start with you first. How did you become a producer? And mostly, what sparked the interest inside of you to start doing dance music?
Well, I was songwriting and writing songs since I was a kid, and playing in bands, rock bands with Flynn as well. And then I kind of moved into pop music and focusing on that and trying to become a writer. Moved out to LA, lived there for about 8 years, and that's when we met with Robbie around 2011, I think, and kind of worked with him since.
That's it. And because you're from Melbourne. Both of you guys are from Melbourne, or that's it. And then. I guess you have to start making music on such a level that you can decide that you actually want to go to LA and do these kinds of things.
Yeah.
So I want to go a little bit further back in time. When was the moment that you started making music? That you were like, okay, this is something that I can do really well, and I want to pursue my dream and go to LA eventually.
Yeah, I think we were always pretty ambitious. Well, I was always very ambitious and confident in what I thought I could do, but I think in hindsight, maybe it wasn't as good as I thought at the time. But then obviously over time, you keep working at it and gradually it gets better. So by kind of, our mid-20s, I think we were starting to hit our stride and doing obviously the stuff with Robbie and all that kind of thing. And then we kind of I didn't get into making electronic music till, my 30s almost. It's a very new thing. I kind of...
Be 25.
And what about you, Flynn? How did you start out making music? Well, because we could already hear on the State of Trance episode how you came into dance music. We'll get there in just a little bit as well. How did you start out making music?
We started, Tim and I played in bands when we were teenagers. So we grew up on a lot of rock music, a lot of classic rock music. And we'd rehearse 3 or 4 times a week after school with our guitars. So our background is bands, traditional songwriting. As Tim mentioned, we spent a lot of time in LA, in that hamster wheel of pitching songs, working, trying to get cuts on pop productions. But we found that always very restrictive. Because you are forced to,
work in a formula, I guess.
Work in a formula. Nothing against that, but just when you have a background of, writing with 1 or 2 people, it feels strange to go into a room with 10 people and try to, the top line, the bridge, all this kind of thing. So we kind of felt that was a very restrictive format. And we had the background of being artists, and then we had this incredible, synchronicity relationship with Rob. But yeah, Tim and I self-taught, obviously, production and self-taught musicians. And we've always, for our whole lives been making music, been music fans. And I think, when we were younger, when I was younger, I fell in love with the, Chemical Brothers Surrender record, Daft Punk Discovery, Moby Play, Fatboy Slim, You've Come a Long Way, Baby, So Why Try Harder. And that was kind of my first introduction into electronic, which kind of felt like a bit naughty at the time because we were so into bands, and it was kind of a sub genre. It wasn't it wasn't.
So you were in the guitar side of things and not in the sampling kind of thing.
And then we're but then we heard all this and it was holy shit, this is really, really cool.
Yeah,
and this is something that I think, as Tim said, our interest in that was planted then, but grew more and more and more to then overtake that became our primary form of inspiration and our primary music that we would then listen to and then obviously branch out from those.
So in the meantime, you were making pop music and you were listening to dance music, sort of.
Yeah, we were listening to all kinds of music.
Just to get inspired.
But just the inspiration level, the fresher, more creative ideas would be coming from electronic music, whereas I felt that pop rock, was on a decline of things that would pique our interest, whereas dance was becoming more interesting. Yeah, innovate, and then it kind of became when it's crossed over to the mainstream. It became more exciting from a sonic perspective to make it and to perform it because we would deal with 5 different musicians coming to a show, and you have to mic up each cabinet and
carry
such.
a ramp.
But so it's much more economical. Also, I mean that's not
very true. You rock on with the
well,
you have a USB key with you, and that's it. That's all you need.
Exactly.
2 of them.
Yeah,
2 of them might be helpful sometimes.
So that's kind of a little bit of the origin story.
Which year was that you started doing that you made the switch between pop music and dance music?
I mean, we always had dance music influenced in the pop writing.
Yeah, I think it was like around 2019 for me. I went over to Berlin to stay with Flynn for kind of a summer, and we just went to the clubs and just listened to all the stuff and just kind of got immersed in the culture. And it was just really like eye-opening. It was just really exciting.
Yeah.
And I was like, fuck, let's do this. Like, this is so much cooler than this is so much better and cooler than what we were doing. And it's like, it's kind of like the forefront of culture, and it was just kind of pushing boundaries. I was like, I'm just going to throw everything into this. So I just kind of put everything into it to try and learn how to make it.
Do you think you were stuck inside of the bubble in LA a little bit too long that you were like in a certain routine and dance music pulled you out of that again?
I think so, yeah.
Yeah, LA can be very restrictive for creativity, like in music.
Yeah.
I mean, you wouldn't think it. I mean, you would think it, but with electronic music, it's an easier like collaborative format. You can test it better live, so you can play something and people, it's more community driven and it's more representative, I think, of youth culture too. Whereas like trying to squeeze ideas out into a song, it loses its romance where like, electronic can still be quite punk rock where you can take an idea, get it done, mix it and get it out in like a few days, right? The entry level to collaborate with other artists is a lot more vast too.
Yeah.
So I think you're a lot freer creatively when you're making electronic music, and that resonated with Tim and I after being in the LA system, A&Rs, all that crap, right?
Yeah. I think one thing that I found the most exciting about it all was, if you go to a pop concert or a rock concert, you kind of go and you want them to play their hit and then you know it. Whereas with dance music, it was like you're going to hear these songs that are unreleased that no one's ever heard. Like Solomon has these exclusivities, or like the DJs. You're going to hear new music.
The IDs,
it's a complete. It's amazing. So that was found that really cool.
But you guys are from Melbourne, both of you, and I have to say I've been in Melbourne quite a few times. There always has been a very healthy dance music environment over there as well. But you only discovered that right now, I guess.
No, we've always known about it.
Yeah. Well, you didn't really tap into it, I guess.
No, we didn't tap into it. I mean, as Tim and I were living a lot of our 20s overseas, so we would obviously come back to Australia, but we were largely in Los Angeles and then summering a lot in Europe and more immersed in that, Berlin techno kind of scene. And then in LA, obviously with the writing stuff. But Melbourne's probably one of the best music cities, I'd say.
It's got a good
100%
scene too.
And there's good festivals, there's good DJs. There are good artists that come there. And it's something that is definitely, worth keeping an eye on for all those listeners.
Because I have to ask you guys, because normally we have dance producers and DJs in the studio, and now we have pop producers that walk the other way around, I guess. Explain or tell us a little bit how does a live look like as a pop producer in LA? Do you work with several singer-songwriters all the time, but you work together in the studio? How does it work?
Yeah, we did like a lot of we were signed to Universal, so they would kind of link us up with other writers or artists. You go to studios all over and you just kind of go in and write a song. But most of the stuff we were doing was we worked a lot with Robbie. Yeah. So that took up the majority. Like there was always a new album. There was always new songs to work on. There was always, a remix to do all this and that. So most of it was that, working with Robbie.
So that was pretty much a full-time job, just working on Robbie's
pretty
albums.
much, yeah.
And then you would get singer-songwriters in the studio as well to work with for songs for Robbie, or is it something that you always did with the three of you?
No, with just whoever. Like we work with other artists.
Mhm.
Did stuff with like Kylie Minogue. Who else? Like lots of various.
It's all a blur.
Yeah, it's
all blur. You
it's-
can't
yeah,
remember anymore.
Don't remember our 20s.
And now comes the question, of course, because it's you guys and also Robbie, of course, in Lufthaus. How did you get Robbie involved in this project, or is it something that started existing with the three of you? Just an idea that came about.
Tim and I, we had decided that we were going to do like an electronic music project.
Yeah.
And it's a good story, actually. It was the Grand Prix was on in Melbourne.
Yeah.
And Rob he'd flown out with his band to play the Grand Prix, and he'd been doing all the promo and, you know, all the photos. And then, you know, Melbourne, the world went into lockdown.
Yeah.
And one of the days before, we were playing all this new Lufthaus music to Rob. And he was just like, this is really fresh. This is great. You know, I can put on another writing hat. You know, there's a freedom that comes with making music that you're not known for, especially for Rob. And he was like, I want to be a part of the project. And we didn't know at that point if we were going to be anonymous. We didn't know what the form would take.
Yeah.
And the songs were played to Rob, and he just started to write, and it resonated with him. And then as we further went into lockdown, Tim and I and Rob were sending songs. Rob was sending voice notes. We would send some melodic ideas. And then Rob would record it often on his phone and send it back.
Really?
And then there were some other sessions in Europe that we recorded his vocals. But the album came together very quickly. I think I call it an album, but we've got like 30, 40 songs for the project.
Yeah, and
For Lufthaus.
pretty varying genres. Like we've kind of taken the lane that we've done, but we kind of did everything just to figure out what it was.
So you guys have 40 songs just sitting on your hard drive.
Yeah, I think they're sitting on Amada's hard drive too.
Must be nice.
Yeah.
Must be nice that you have so much music done already in the meantime.
Yeah, it's good. But we're taking this time to now. I mean, we're still figuring out, like, as Tim said, we got so many, it's all electronic, but there's different, like some of it's a bit, like there's some house stuff, there's some like melodic techno, there's some darker stuff.
Yeah.
But we're trying to use this time, I think we're in Antwerp, and we took the recording, you know, the microphone, the laptop to Rob's hotel room, and then we punch in some vocals. So we're gonna use some time in Berlin to set up the studio and the hotel room, and we can use this time to continue to write because we all love writing. I think Tim's got like 150 beat ideas like on his laptop.
That's nuts.
I've got like
more.
3 ideas in my mind.
So during this podcast,
We're
Tim
still
is
trying
already...
to like evolve the sound too, you know, like we're trying to keep it fresh, and it's like, you know, the last song's always the best.
But how do you pick and choose like which songs are you going to pick for the future? Because you can't release everything, I guess.
We ask Amada.
We're gonna try.
Yeah.
So you just bounce ideas up and down with the A&R.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, we try different stuff too. Like you don't know, it all connects with us. So we want to see what connects with an audience. So we're not precious about, you know, shaking things up.
Yeah.
So we're like, we'll commit to the sound, but we're also very flexible with what we will release in the future, you know.
I love that, man, that you
Right.
can be flexible about it. And you can also adjust to times as well, I guess.
Yeah, and we can be very quick too.
Yeah.
So we can really turn out tunes very quickly.
Let's jump back to the birth of Lufthaus, because you already said it at the beginning. You thought about staying anonymous, just because I remember the first promo that we received for the radio show. I think it was Sway. It was like, hey guys, do you want to play this record? Armada was like, hey, do you want to play this record? Well, you can't say anything about the project, but you can play it on the show. And I'm like, I hear the voice, 1 + 1. Okay, that's 3. But you still decided to remain anonymous for just a little bit. Why did you decide to do that?
Because we wanted to, I think when you're working with an artist like Robbie Williams, like due to the size of his celebrity and due to his, you know, his brand, we wanted to roll it out in an authentic way.
Yeah.
So we didn't want it to just instantly become like Robbie Williams electronic project. So it was a very deliberate, considered strategy with, his management and with Amada to have, these 3 songs come out, be seeded into the community. Obviously, Rob's got such an iconic voice.
Yeah, you recognize it straight away, of course. Yeah.
But we wanted to, roll it out in a way that wasn't, we weren't trying to cash in on.
Put the focus on the music.
Yeah.
And just let the music do its thing, opposed to being like, hey, look at us, look at me, all this kind of thing. We just wanted to put out good music and just,
You managed to roll it out nicely without mentioning anything, I guess.
Yeah.
And then the moment came that you were, okay, we can't hide it anymore. Let's throw it out there. And then the world tour came.
Yeah.
I guess. Well, we're already touching base a little bit in the episode as well, that you guys were, normally, let's say how a career goes as an electronic dance music producer. You work, I don't know, for many years. People don't understand your music. Your friends lie to you and say that it's nice because it's not, it's horrible. And then you start playing these small little gigs for 5, 6, 7 people maybe. And then you get a lot of stress about that. And then throughout the years, you become better and better and better. And then you hope to play a bigger show at a certain point. But you guys were like, okay, let's do it differently. First show, 45,000 people.
Make no mistake, Tim and I have spent a lot of time playing to
the band garage
and Undone. So we've both had different projects over the years that we thought were going to be the one.
Yeah,
and we've spent a lot of times playing to no one. So we didn't just like rock up and have the silver spoon. We've paid our dues.
100%
in a big way.
Yeah.
And yeah, it's incredible to go out and play to that many people. We feel very fortunate, and we like doing both. So we love, as we said, we're doing the club shows. So we love bringing a different show to an arena because it's a different beast, right? And you gotta be a lot more mindful of your entertaining and your engagement because it's a crowd that wants to see a high, quality show. But then we love playing in the clubs. We love doing, sets. So we're kind of like a Swiss Army knife of what we can do. Because I think a lot of traditional electronic acts, they wouldn't in an arena. You'd need, fire, pyrotechnics,
big LEDs,
a giant elephant. We don't have that. I mean, we got a great stage production, but we had to figure out how to bring people in whilst maintaining our sound.
Yeah, you managed to do that, I guess. Yeah. And the question now is, of course, now you did these arena shows. You already mentioned that you played a show in Ibiza, I think, last year as well, like a more club environment. Are you guys aiming to do more club shows in the future, or do you want to keep on touring like these shows with Robbie, or just stand on your own feet and just fly away?
We definitely want to do more club shows.
We're doing a lot more.
Yeah, I'm going to do Ibiza and stuff this summer. We've got lots of really cool, exciting stuff planned and in the works. So.
And you can focus on that fully because you have so many songs laying there already. So you don't even have to be in the studio for the next.
We'd love to do, like, obviously we love supporting Rob. So Tim and I support Rob on the arena tours.
Yeah.
Then Tim and I are going to play a lot of club shows across Europe. We've already started doing after shows after the arena gig. And then with Rob, when it makes sense, we'd love to do, festivals, do, Creamfields, do, big kind of, productions and stuff with Rob. But then you were aiming for a series of Ibiza shows. So that will be really fun. And that will be really interesting.
Fun.
Yeah.
I would love to come.
You can. We'll put you on the guest list.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much. How do you take your experience that you have from playing in a band into what you're doing right now, doing the live shows? Because you mentioned that you played like small crowds on a guitar or whatever. How do you take that along in your club shows now?
I guess you build a thick skin from doing all those small shows that then when you get up there, you just kind of click it. Just, like Flynn said, it's a bit of muscle memory.
Yeah. So you remember how you have to play the crowd, or you have to entertain in a certain way, I guess.
You get a hit of adrenaline and you just go for it.
The adrenaline rush of playing a show of 45,000 people is unparalleled, I guess.
Yeah.
But it's more scary to play in front of 4.
100 times more.
Yeah.
Like this set was harder than the 20,000 that like Ziggo done. Because it's like, you're so exposed, right?
Yeah.
I mean, on an arena tour, you are exposed too because everyone can see you. The visibility is really good. So we've managed to do like some hybrid. There's some live moments, there's live singing, there's electronic, and it works because it's a mix of everything, So if it was just the electronic, it wouldn't work as well as having the hybrid model. So that's something that's unique to the arena shows.
So you bring in keyboards and more performance, I guess.
Singing. Like we have the decks and then we do some singing. So
Yeah, because I did a little bit of research before this podcast, of course, and you guys are both singers as well. A little bit. Flynn is
the singer.
I sing.
So is this the moment to bring in the reverb and
Yeah.
Flynn can do a little song?
Tim and I think this is a really good point. Like Tim and I, the Lufthaus songs are songs.
Yeah.
Right. They are songs. So they're not just electronic pieces of music with a hook. They're songs.
Yeah.
And this is where we get a lot of inspiration from like Rufus to Soul, you know? And because they are songs, they need to be performed as songs in the arena setting. In the club, we play the club mixes because it's a different beast, but it's good to kind of, you know, maintain that through line when you're performing to such a vast amount of people.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And what I wonder now, because you guys were sitting in LA, you're from Australia. Robbie is, of course, in the UK. I guess he lives there most of the times as well.
He's everywhere.
He's everywhere. How do you set up a way to record songs? Because it must be hard to just be in the same spot.
We do a lot of on the road, like hotel rooms and stuff like that.
How do you do a hotel room session? Do you set up pillows as a booth or something?
Yeah.
Or
See that guy over there, James, our tour manager. He's
Hello,
also
James.
he's
Also a mixing engineer,
psychologist, resident therapist. Yeah. So James, it's fortunate to have him because he brings his microphone, laptop, like a UAD interface.
Yeah.
Sets up some pillows, and then we'll set Rob up in the living room, and then we'll play him the music, or he'll have the song before, and then Rob will start singing, and we'll capture it in a studio quality that can then be used to mix.
So do you put blankets on the wall? You have to call reception and, hey guys,
we
this
put
is room
blankets.
223.
We
need
light
10
candles. We make Rob real comfortable.
Yeah.
Slip on something, you know, that you feel comfortable doing, and maybe a robe or your famous underwear.
Oh, okay, guys. This is amazing.
We loosen Rob up, and then maybe a massage.
Okay,
maybe a foot rub.
Flawless. You have
And
to.
then he just
see
starts
this.
singing.
Switch this. Which camera shall we take? Well, one closer. You have to see this. Wait. Very interesting, guys. Keep on.
Yeah, and then Rob just starts singing, and then once everything's comfortable, the juices flow, and it's we capture the magic. So that's one way we do it.
That's awesome.
Or we're in, you know, if we're in a city, Rob Zim, we'll go to a studio. But a lot of it now, the quality's so good that you get, if you have a great microphone and you have the, you know, the universal interface, the Apollo, and their plugins like the emulators for 1073 or 1176 is insane.
And also, like when it becomes very formal in a studio, I think sometimes it's nice to just do it on the fly in the hotel room, get a bit of a vibe. We're all just hanging out. And then it's like,
and I guess you've been working together for such a long time.
Exactly
it's
right.
A friendship session
Whenever
as
it
well.
becomes formal, I guess it becomes a little less fun. And then I guess that might show in the takes and stuff like that. So it's always nice to just, you know.
But how are you going to, because Lufthaus, it's you know, it's going off right now. It's becoming more popular. And I guess Robbie also wants to continue his pop side, but you guys are becoming more busy with this project as well. How are you going to balance everything? Like
we find time.
Production-wise.
We find time. I mean, we bank so much music, and we turn it around so quickly, and we fit in. Tim and I, our schedule's dedicated to this. If Rob wants to come in, we're doing Europe anyway, so then Rob can, if he wants to play live, he can join us after a show or in between his schedule. Or Tim and I, as I said, we're dedicating our time physically to play those shows. And then we don't need to, like Rob is such a big part of Lufthaus, but we can also create without him too.
Yeah.
So he can also come in at the end or the beginning, and then he can be as involved or uninvolved as he likes.
Yeah, because you can write the songs also and just be like, hey, listen to this song, add something to it, record it or something like that.
Yeah.
That helps so much that nowadays you don't need a $1 million studio anymore. You just need a hotel room with a tour manager.
And a J-Mill,
Yeah. That's all you need.
Yeah.
So what would be the ultimate tip? Because my time management is pretty okay as well. But if I listen to you guys, your time management is, well, next level. What would be the number one tip for time managing?
Make hay while the sun shines.
Yeah, exactly right. I mean, we've got a 4-hour train ride after this. So it's like, pull out the laptop,
It's not that hard. Like it's actually, if you have the music, like it's not that time consuming. You can spend, only a few hours a week of quality output to get a really great result. Like we've banked all this time in the music business, so now it's quick.
Yeah, like spending thousands and thousands of hours in front of Logic. Now it's you kind of know what to do.
Yeah, you don't have to reinvent everything.
You don't have to reinvent everything. I know that this bass is going to work with this kick drum, and then this so forth, and then I know that this sounds good. So we work pretty quickly.
Yeah,
now
you do.
Yeah.
After all these years. Yeah. Well, what is your? This is going to be a nerdy question. What is your favorite plugin at the moment that you put on your project straight away?
Or VST?
Well, like you mean soft synth or like
let's do both.
Soft synth, I'd have to say Serum.
Yes.
Love it.
Because it's so hands-on, I guess.
It's so versatile, especially for making this kind of music. But I try and avoid doing too much processing because obviously we've got James, who's a professional.
Yeah.
And he can do it better than I can. So I just kind of...
So he's your sound engineer.
He's the sound engineer
sounds.
that mix, yeah.
I like Output. I think they're an American company. They do some really interesting,
like Signal,
VSTs.
for example.
Yeah. They're really cool.
Arcade was cool for like...
Don't tell anyone about Arcade. But it's
I think everyone knows about Arcade.
So forget what you heard. And then from processing, UAD. All UAD stuff is next level, and I think we've like reached like almost a singularity with the impossibility to be able to tell between vintage equipment and the UAD licensed plugins. They're insane. So
it's very expensive.
They are.
Every how do you say it, Black Friday, I'm like, here we go again.
If UAD are listening, we're open to a sponsorship deal. Lufthaus loves UAD.
UAD.
I think.
Can you put the reverb on,
Universal
please?
Audio.
Yeah, wait, here we go.
Universal Audio.
Universal Audio presents Lufthaus music.
Well, there you go. That's a solid plug right there. I think they will listen to you.
Yeah,
And then
Adam, the monitors and
Adam Audio.
Genelic.
Yeah,
they're really good. Genelic are really good. So we like our sounds in Lufthaus. We like our hardware.
Yeah,
awesome. Well, I like that. Let's have a question here from Celion D18. The question is there an album coming? Share
end of
the
the year.
news.
Is it end of the year?
I think between September and November there'll be an album out on Armada Records.
Okay. And that's going to be, do you already know the track list or is that something that you still...
Maybe.
We don't even know if it's written yet.
We might know. Yeah, we got a pretty good idea. Like working with Jeroen from Armada, I think we got like about, 6-7 shortlisted.
Yeah. Okay.
We've released like what, 4 or 5? 4. So almost half the album.
So we need just another 6. So
okay. And that's going to be a strategy to release everything before the album comes out, or is there something that you...
It's 4 songs. 4 songs that they want. Armada want 4 songs and then the album, like single push. So I think we'll have the 4th out by October.
5th, yeah.
Awesome. Can't wait for that. Question, this one comes from the hometown, I guess. Matt, when are you guys going to tour Australia?
November.
There's a stadium tour.
Yeah, I think we're doing Sydney and Melbourne. We're doing a couple of shows in Melbourne, and then we'll definitely do some club stuff and hopefully some festival stuff around that kind of summer period. It's always
because right now, if you see what's going on in Australia right now, it's nuts. The amount of festivals. I think Armin was there last week in Brisbane and in Sydney Showgrounds, for example.
Yeah,
absolutely. But also the club scene is doing really, really well. Of course, there's a lot of Australian artists that are just flying all around the world, I guess, right now. Well, that's it. That's the questions that I had for you.
Great.
If you guys have anything to add, this is the time. This is the moment.
What have we got to add?
Follow us, stream us. I don't know.
Say hello to us on the internet. Get in touch. We love to see everyone who enjoys our music. And stay tuned for our latest releases. Check us out on Spotify, Instagram. And come say hello live when we're in town. That would be the best way to experience.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much, Lufthaus, for this podcast and, of course, for the guest mix as well. And hope to see you guys later this year when you're going to release your album.
Thank you for having us.
Yeah, that's it for the podcast. See you next time. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Thanks.
Thank you for tuning in. Check all previous episodes on YouTube or your favorite podcast portal. A State of Trance podcast.